Psalm 14. David acclaims, "The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. Israel shall rejoice in the day of restoration." To the chief musician, a psalm of David. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, they have done abominable works, there is none that doeth good. The Lord looketh down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand and seek God. They are all gone aside, they are all together become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Have all the workers of iniquity no knowledge? Who eat up my people as they eat bread, and call not upon the Lord. And were they in great fear? For God is in the generation of the righteous. Ye have shamed the counsel of the poor, because the Lord is his refuge. Oh, that the salvation of Israel were come out of Zion, when the Lord bringeth back the captivity of his people Jacob. Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. Sounds very familiar. Anyways, it's an interesting little psalm here. Rather than a general comparison of the wicked to the righteous, this is just a condemnation of the wicked, really. The fool says in his heart, there is no God. This is a poetic way of condemning the world. There is nobody righteous. But he does indicate that this is talking about those outside of Israel. Of all the workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eat up my people. So in other words, this is the heathens, this is the nations outside of Israel. And among them, there are no righteous. It's interesting. But there is this Joseph Smith translation here. This is another one. We've seen a few like this where Joseph Smith basically rewrote the entire psalm, making significant changes to every single verse. It's only 7 verses long, so let us reread this as the Joseph Smith translation. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no man that hath seen God, because he sheweth himself not unto us. Therefore there is no God. Behold, they are corrupt, they have done abominable works, and none of them doeth good. The Lord looked down from heaven upon the children of men, and by his voice said unto his servant, Seek ye among the children of men to see if there are any that do understand God. And he opened his mouth unto the Lord and said, Behold, all these who say they are thine. The Lord answered and said, They are all gone aside. They are together become filthy. Thou canst behold none of these that are doing good. No, not one. All they have for their teachers are workers of iniquity, and there is no knowledge in them. They are they who eat up my people. They eat bread and call not upon the Lord. They are in great fear, for God dwells in the generations of the righteous. He is the counsel of the poor, because they are ashamed of the wicked, and flee unto the Lord for their refuge. They are ashamed of the counsel of the poor, because the Lord is his refuge. Oh, that Zion were established out of heaven, the salvation of Israel. O Lord, when wilt thou establish Zion? When the Lord bringeth back the captivity of his people, Jacob shall rejoice, Israel shall be glad. Now that actually changes the meaning fairly significantly. That's a pretty big change. That opening paragraph is extremely specific. Now, instead of saying, the fool saith there is no God, now we're given the reason why he says there is no God. It says that there is no man that hath seen God, because he sheweth himself not unto us, therefore there is no God. The fool basically says that because I haven't seen God, God can't exist. And I like that. Instead of just saying God looked down and found nobody righteous, he sent his servants out to seek out the righteous, and the servants said, look at these. They found Israel and said, hey, Israel says that they follow thee. They say they are thine. But then God rejects them and says they have all gone aside. Because they are, it says they have therefore their teachers workers of iniquity. Now, this is interesting. Now this is what I say. This is credited as a Psalm of David. And that is why I'm reading it here during the life of David. But this is one that you might actually have to say is not written by David. It was more likely written during the Babylonian captivity or just before it. Probably during it, because it mentions the captivity. And then it mentions the workers of iniquity being the teachers of the people. This is a perfect description of Israel just before the Babylonian captivity. So maybe this one wasn't written by David. But once again, the Joseph Smith translation makes it a little better.